All right, so what we're up to today is we're going to be dividing by polynomials. Now, we're going to use what's called long division, which I'm sure might have been a long time ago since you've done it. And so just a little recap of how long division works is that, say if I have something like, when I'm just dealing with numbers, I can take, 472 and divide it by 9. All right, now, to take 472 divided by 9 without a calculator, what I have to look at is, does 9 go into 4? And it doesn't. But then 9 does go into 47. I believe it's 5 times. But that's not completely true because it's more than 5 times. So what I do is I go 5 times 9 is 45. And in fact, what happens is, then I take my 47 minus 45, and I get a 2. So 9 goes into 47 5 times, but there's 2 left over. Now I want to keep going here. So what I'm going to do is bring this 2 down. And now I repeat the process. How many times does 9 go into 22? 2 times. So then I go 2 times 9 gives me 18. Now when I take 22 and I subtract 18, I get 4. Now if I wanted to keep going to see how many decimal, or keep finding the decimal places, what I'm looking at here is, well, there'd be a 0 and a 0 here. And so 9 doesn't go into 4. And so what I can do is bring this 0 down. And now I look at 9 into 40 4 times. So 4 times 9 gives me 36. And again, when I subtract 40 from 36, I get a 4. And I could go to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to bring another 0 down. And, well, 9 goes into 40 4 times again. And I could keep repeating that process and keep going to the decimal places till it's just 0 at the end. But I'm just going to stop there at 2 decimal places. And so 472 divided by 9 is 52.44. So again, that's just a little review of long division, because we're going to use that method to solve polynomial division. All right, so in this case, we have 3x cubed minus 5x squared minus 7x minus 1 divided by x minus 3. That's a little bit different than probably anything you've seen before. So I'm going to write it as polynomial division. So I'm going to take my 3x cubed minus 5x squared minus 7x minus 1, and I'm going to divide that by x minus 3. All right, now, similar to what I did over here, very similar to what I did over here, I look at my leading terms. Got to write them in order. That's something that's very key. And what I mean by order is in the degree of the polynomial. I have my third degree, my second degree, first degree, and then my constant term. Same thing here with the polynomial. I've got my first degree and my number afterwards. Now, what I'm looking at is how would I get from x to x cubed? And in terms of how, or what could I divide, or take 3x cubed and divide it by x? And in fact, if I took 3x cubed and I divided by x, I would get just 3x squared. Now I'm going to repeat that process that I did over in my long division with numbers. And so I'm going to multiply the 3x squared by x, and I'm also going to take that 3x squared and multiply it by negative 3x. And so 3x squared times 3x is 3x cubed. All right, then I take the 3x squared and I times it by negative 3, and I get minus 9x squared. Now, when I subtract them, just like I did up here, I subtracted my numbers. I take 3x cubed minus 3x cubed. The x cubes are gone. That's what we wanted, because we want to keep shrinking it down. And then I take minus 5x squared minus 9x squared. That's a mouthful. Minus 5x squared minus 9x squared. The two minus signs are actually going to come together to give us a plus. All right, so really I have minus 5x squared plus 9x squared, which would give me a 4x squared. All right, now, see these two terms here, the minus 7x and the minus 1. They keep coming down. There we go. We can't forget about those. And now I'm going to repeat the process. How do I get from x to 4x squared? Well, I would multiply by 4x. And now I count going, and I'm going to repeat that process that I did before. So now I go 4x times the x and 4x times the minus 3. So 4x times the x is 4x squared. And then 4x times the minus 3 is minus 12x. And once again, I'm going to subtract them. All right, so 4x squared minus 4x squared, the x squareds are now gone. But now we have this minus 7x minus 12x. So we got that minus thing going again. That's one thing you got to watch out for. All right, so really it's going to be a plus 12x. And so I have minus 7x plus 12x. I'm going to get a 5x. And again, I can't forget about this little minus 1 here, so I'm going to drag it down. We still have it going. And what you can see is our polynomial, we're going from a third degree to a second degree to a 1 degree, and then down finally to the leftovers. All right, so now I'm looking at how do I get from x to 5x? Well, in terms of multiplication, I would have to multiply by 5. All right, so now here's one key, is that once we've got to our number with polynomials, you're done. It's kind of like you don't go farther with the decimals. But here's what we are going to figure out is what's the remainder? What's the leftover? All right, so I'm going to go 5 times x, gives me the 5x. And then 5 times that minus 3 is the minus 15. All right, again, subtracting the two. And I got 5x minus 5x. X's are gone. But then we go minus 1 minus 15. Well, I know where that's happening again. We got the two minus signs, really means plus. All right, so I have minus 1 plus 15. That's just the number 14. And that is what we call the remainder. Whoops. Easy for me to write. 14 is the remainder. And so the answer to the question now is determine what you get when you take 3x cubed minus 5x squared minus 7x minus 1 divided by the x minus 3. Well, this is what you end up with. You have your x minus 3. We have our times our polynomial on the top. And then, oh, by the way, we have this leftover remainder. Because, again, the key here is that multiplying is the opposite of dividing. So if I took this polynomial and divided it by this, well, it would be the same as if I went the opposite way and I took this polynomial, multiply it by this polynomial, and, oh, by the way, we got to put the 14 in there. Add the 14 at the end. All right, I know that's something new, so we're going to do a couple more. That's for sure. Any questions before I give the old board flip? Just checking out the chat. All right, here we go. Big turn. Hopefully it doesn't fall. All right, so we're on to example 2. We're now going to determine. So this is example 2. We're going to take 5x minus 2x cubed plus 3 plus x to the 4th. And we're going to divide that by, even bigger polynomial, x squared plus 2x plus 1. All right, so there we go. All right, now, first thing is when I write this, I'm taking this polynomial here divided by this polynomial. Again, I want to write them in the degree from the highest degree to the lowest degree. So this polynomial here, 5x is definitely not the highest polynomial, the highest degree term, the x to the fourth I'm going to write first. All right, then the minus 2x cubed. Now, here's something. I don't have an x squared term, but I have to leave a space for it. So what I always do, so I don't forget, because if you forget, it makes this stuff, your answer, you're just going to get completely messed up, is that I'm going to put a plus 0x squared. We don't have any, but I want to have a placeholder for it. All right, now my x term, I have a 5x, and then I got a plus 3. All right, so there's the polynomial, again, written in from the degrees from highest to lowest, and I didn't have an x term, but I have to have a placeholder for it, so I put a 0x squared in there. Then I'm dividing it now by x squared plus a 2x plus 1. All right, so that's in the right order, so I don't have to adjust anything with that. All right, so now I'm going to do the same process that I did before. So I've got my leading term. How do I get from x squared to x to the fourth? Well, I can multiply in terms of multiplying. I would have to multiply by x squared. And so now what I'm going to do is multiply x squared by x squared and 2x and 1 and write those terms right along here. And so I have x squared times x squared. That's x to the fourth. X squared times 2x, that's a positive 2x cubed. And then x squared times 1 is 1x squared. All right, so now I'm going to subtract our terms. All right, so x to the power 4 minus x to the power 4, they're gone. But now I have minus 2x cubed minus 2x cubed. That would be minus 4x cubed. Then I have no x squareds, minus 1x squared. Well, we're down 1x squared. And again, I got to drop these 5x and this 3. They got to drop down because we are going to use them eventually. All right, so now you see, I went from an x to the fourth as my leading degree. Now I have x to the third. It will keep shrinking. And we just keep going until we get a number here. All right, so now I'm looking at how do I get from x squared and multiply something to get minus 4x cubed? Well, it would be minus 4x. Okay, because now when I go minus 4x times x squared, I get minus 4x cubed. Then I take minus 4x and I times it by 2x. I'm going to get minus 8x squared. And then I have minus 4x times that 1, minus 4x. All right, now I subtract. And when I take minus 4x cubed and I minus 4x cubed, they are gone because these two minus signs become a plus, and so I have a minus 4x cubed plus a 4x cubed. That eliminates them. Then I have a minus 1x squared minus 8x squared. We've got a lot of minuses going on here. And so again, that's going to be plus 8x squared. So I have minus 1x squared plus 8x squared. That's going to give me a 7x squared. All right, and then I have a 5x minus 4x. So again, that's going to be a plus 4x. I'm going to get a 9x. And again, I got this 3 here. 3 minus 0, well, that's 3. That's where that's coming from. All right, so now we're down to the squared term. But see how we're getting to the number? We're almost done here. All right, so I'm looking at how do I get from x squared to 7x squared? Well, I'd have to multiply by a 7. All right, so there's our polynomial on the top. Now I'm going to go 7 times x squared is 7x squared. 7 times 2x is 14x. And then 7 times my 1 is 7. Now, I'm done with this polynomial up here, but I need to find out my remainder. So I'm going to subtract 7x squared minus 7x squared. They're gone. But then I have 9x minus 14x. 9x minus 14x, that is a minus 5x. And then I have a 3 minus 7, and 3 minus 7 is a minus 4. That is our remainder. So the answer to the question, what happens when you divide those two? Well, again, division is the opposite of multiplying. So therefore, your answer here is we've got x squared plus 2x plus 1. And if I multiply it by 4x squared minus 4x plus 7, and oh, by the way, we have this leftover stuff. So if I multiply those two and then went minus 5x minus 4, we would get our original stuff. And there we go. Now, any questions about that so far? I know it's tough because you guys haven't seen this kind of thing before. Long division used to be a standard, but not so much anymore. All right, so then I'm going to go to the last one here, last example. Let's see. So I guess we'll do a board flip. I'm going to have to wash it anyways, though. All right, so the next one, a little bit of an interesting view here. It says prove. There, I gotta weighten this down a little bit more. All right, it says prove that 2x plus 3 is a factor of 6x cubed plus 5x squared minus 16x plus or minus 15. All right, and then it says determine the other factors. We'll get to that. Now, prove 2x plus 3 is a factor. What the heck does that mean, right? If it is a factor, so if 2x plus 3 is a factor, that means there's no remainder. So what it's saying is divide these two and show that there is no remainder. That's the skinny of what's happening here. All right, so prove 2x plus 3 is a factor of that big polynomial there. So we're going to divide those two, and then we're going to show there's no remainder, and then it says find the other factors. So we're going to keep factoring it and break it all apart. That's essentially what's happening. So, again, I'm going to write my polynomial up there. And it's already, I'm lucky, it's already a third degree, second degree, first degree, and then a number. So it's already written in the right order. We're good that way. So 6x cubed plus 5x squared minus 16x minus 15. And we're going to divide that by 2x plus 3. All right, so here we go. We've got everything written in the right order, filled in. There's no spaces to be filled in, so we're good that way. So here I go. I'm looking at how do I get from 2x to 6x cubed in terms of multiplying? Well, I'd have to multiply by a 3 to get to the 6, and then an x squared. All right, so then I go 3x squared times 6, or 3x squared times 2x is that 6x cubed. And then we have 3x squared times 3, which is a 9x squared. All right, so this is where we subtract. All right, so I have 6x cubed minus 6x cubed. The cubes are gone. That's the whole point. All right, so now I've got 5x squared minus 9x squared. That's a minus 4x squared. All right, and then I've got these two I got to drop down because, well, minus 16x minus 0 is just minus 16x. And same thing with the minus 15. All right, so that's where we're at. Now, same idea, rinse, wash, repeat here. So how do I get from 2x to 4x squared? I'd have to multiply by minus 2x. All right, so minus 2x times 2x is that minus 4x squared. All right, then I have minus 2x times 3, minus 6x. All right, so I'm going to subtract. All right, so I have minus 4x squared. Hey, we got the two minus signs again coming together. So it's going to add 4x squared to minus 4x squared. Means there's no x squareds left. They're gone. That's what's supposed to happen. Now we have minus 16x minus 6x. Again, two minus signs plus. So minus 16x plus 6x minus 10x. And then I got this minus 15 here. All right, so again, we got to get this number here. Also, we want to show that there's no remainder. So let's check it out. I have 2x. How do I get from 2x to minus 10x? I'd have to multiply by minus 5. All right, now, minus 5 times 2x is minus 10x. And then minus 5 times 3 is minus 15. And so if I subtract them, well, this minus sign is going to make these basically all positive. So 10x or negative 10x plus 10x, nothing. Minus 15 plus 15, nothing. And so we have zero remainder, which means I just proved that 2x plus 3 is a factor. Now, the second part of this says determine the other factors. Because essentially, here's what we've got, is that 6x cubed plus 5x squared minus 16x minus 15 is equal to 2x plus 3 times 3x squared minus 2x minus 5. No remainder, nothing left over at the end. Now, again, finding the other factors. This is already factored down to as low as it can go because it's a one degree polynomial. But I can factor this quadratic. Now, this is something where some of you have probably learned one way of factoring quadratics. Some of you have learned the other. I like to do what's called the chart method, where I put the first term in the top right, or top left, sorry, 3x squared. I put the last term in the top right here. And what I had come up with is I have to fill out, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 spots here. I have to find two terms that multiply to give me 3x squared. And I'm going to go with 3x and an x. And then I have to come up with two numbers that multiply to give me negative 5. And I'm going to go with negative 1 and 5. Now, here's the catch. You just can't randomly come up with those two 3x and an x and a negative 1 and a 5. They have to be able to cross multiply. So 3x times 5 plus negative 1 times x. And those have to add up to our middle term. And in my case, they don't, because I just tried it out. I'm not looking at my answers here. And so 3x times 5 is 15x. And then minus an x, that's 14x. That's not going to work. So I'm going to switch my numbers. I'm going to put a 5 up here and a negative 1 down in the bottom. All right. So then I go 3x times negative 1. That's a minus 3x plus a 5x. That would add up to 2x. Well, that's not negative 2x, it's positive 2x. But I'm going to move my sign here to the minus 5 now. And now I have 3x when I cross multiply minus 5x. That gives me my minus 2x. And so now I can write this polynomial fully factored, because this is big time what we're going to get into today. 2x plus 3 times, one of my other factors there is the 3x minus 5. And then the other one is, this is a positive 1 here, so it is an x plus 1. And so because, while we just fully factored this polynomial, which is much higher than you did before in grade 10 or 11, you probably always did quadratics. Well, now in this class, we're looking at doing any degree of polynomial much higher than quadratics. But again, you are going to have to hopefully still know how to factor a quadratic, because that's in the end what you're going to have to do. We're going to break everything down till you get a quadratic, and then we're going to factor it at the end. All right.